7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
All right, and welcome to another edition of the Vegas Squares Golf Betting Podcast. We had a brief hiatus last week as we did not give you a match play show last week, but no matter what, we are back here for the Valero Texas Open, also known as the Masters Tune-Up in some circles. Here we got the full cast, Mr. Token Tony, Mr. Tony Johnson, and Mr. John Parr. Gentlemen, I haven't seen you guys in almost 2 weeks. Do you guys have any little action on the match play? And how'd your bets go for the Honda Classic?
For me personally, it was a nothing slate for the match play. I didn't even have much in the other off tournament. Usually, I like to bet more the secondary tournaments than the main WGCs. But last week was just kind of a wash. I didn't really have a lot of time to do a lot of preparation, a lot of other things going on. But yeah, happy to report 2 weeks ago was really good for PGA National. I'm didn't get any of the futures in, but did go 3-0-1 on the matchups and got there with the one prop. So that was a really good week, and I'm really excited about this specific tournament because I know we've talked about this one specifically before, not just on the PGA Tour realm, but also on the Korn Ferry side where they played out here last year as well. They play both courses, so this is one of my favorite events. It tests everything. It's just a great spot.
Yeah, TPC San Antonio, like you're right, it gets action from both tours. But Token, how have you been doing the last couple of weeks? I know we talked off before the recording that you didn't really have any match play. It sounds like that's kind of a trend. I only had one bet; it didn't come through either. But how did your last 2 weeks of golf action go?
No action on WGC match play, but Honda went all right. I mean, futures, of course, shoot and miss, but matchups, I think I went 3-1, if I'm not mistaken, or 3-0-1. Can't remember off the top of my head. One of those two.
Well, I can definitely say this, John. I did win the most important matchup of the Honda Classic, and that's the one that makes you do push-ups.
Yeah, finally. Can I do girl push-ups? Maybe 6 girl push-ups instead of the 3 real push-ups.
You know what? I'll think about it over the course of the show.
Definitely resenting that, but this should be a trend going forward, I'm assuming. As far as I'm concerned, it's been a lot of just losing juice, which is unfortunate. And what you need to do when you're betting on golf, just hit a couple of the little 20, 30, 40 to 1 shots on the win, and that sort of free rolls you. And if you can get one more, that's where you get ahead.
Yeah, no big deal. Just hitting 20, 30, 40 to 1s. I mean, that happens every week, right?
No, it is very hard. It really is. But you do have to have volume to where if you are betting 5 units, and you get 15 extra units on one of them, you bet 5 units at 20 to 1 each, and you bet 5 golfers at a single unit at 20 to 1 each. You're
diversifying your portfolio.
Get some rhythm. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to where as long as you hit a couple of those, you're going to be okay.
Well, I think the thing is, Tony, and I think you can back me up on this, I think the reason it is just kind of like John says, just paying juice at this point is I think the books are focusing a lot more on golf than they used to the last decade and plus.
I would agree. Lines are tighter in general. I know we have talked about that on this podcast, actually, about it's tougher. Not just focusing on golf, but I think they're getting smarter in general at some of these non-major sports. The books have hired certainly, I think, a lot of really, really smart thoughtful individuals. There's they took one of us away, on the other side of the counter, and he's now running the Circa book out here in Las Vegas, which in my opinion is the single greatest book that is based here in Las Vegas now, in regards to sharp lines, catering to everybody, will take huge bets, willing to put a price out there. I think it's and it goes to show you that a first-time job, from someone that was just a professional sports bettor for many years, and he's the sportsbook director at what I think is what these books should be striving to look like. That says something. That says a lot. Yeah.
Sounds like the next advertisement opportunity for the Vegas Squares podcast.
The Circa Sports, we might have to get that. Yeah,
it really. I think we've talked about it. It's the only place I've seen where it's two levels of gaming floor, and both two levels. If our listeners haven't been to the Circa, look over a beautiful amount of screens, LED screens in the sports book. So it's almost, and Tony can elaborate on this, it's almost the center of the casino.
It is. That's absolutely the center of the casino. The resort is built around being able to view the TVs and view the sports book. So certainly they every single aspect that Derek Stevens has talked about in building out Circa was centered around the book in itself. 3 of the restaurants out of the 5 also are able to face the sports book. You can see it from most of the places. It's a pretty real thing. And it's not Circa. Let's not forget about the Golden Gate, the D, and they have now parked right across the street from where I live at Tuscany. They are now at the Tuscany resort too, just off the strip. They're making some waves. Also, I believe just opened up in Colorado not too long ago. So yeah, Circa is building out, and I think it would be great to see a sportsbook that to me is doing it the absolute right way, to get some expansion and to really ruffle some feathers and do what they can in an industry that's that has become stale in certain spots, especially out here in the state of Nevada. There's no question it got very stale and very monotonous. And, we see it in the other states, in New Jersey and in Pennsylvania, and some of these spots where it's really creative and interesting with all the different promotions and ideas that they have. And hopefully get some more of that out here.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. Tony, you and I talked about this when I texted you the other day. I had a buddy from the East Coast who was looking for, I wouldn't say obscure betting odds, but he was looking for odds for like the Calder and the Vezina and the NHL.
Yeah.
And I told him straight off, even before he had me look, I said, you might be better off in New Jersey. He lives in New York. I said, you might be better off going to New Jersey. I don't think we have them here. And it's quite unfortunate that this is the mecca of sports gambling, and we don't have – I feel like you should have everything available now. If you're really looking for a point, hey, who was it? I want to say it's the Westgate, but it could be wrong, and maybe you guys can correct me. There was one book that came out and said, hey, you propose a bet, and we'll come up with a line for you to bet it.
I do believe that was the Westgate a little further back in the day. Now they almost seem like they're a little scared to do that. So
that creates fun. Come on.
It does. Yeah.
Of course, if I create something stupid like will Tiger win the 2020 Masters? Okay, you can let that go. But something along the lines of something. Maybe I want to bet on a certain guy or whatever. Hey, give me an odds. I wouldn't mind seeing some creativity, and maybe Circa is the closest thing we have to that right now in Vegas until they hopefully can maybe
expand a little,
adapt or die, I guess.
Yeah, and I like how Circa, especially in the golf aspect, you can bet players on the no side to win certain tournaments and all that. So
you definitely pay the juice for it, that's for sure. But
you definitely do. But you go against the favorite almost every week, you might be profitable.
Yeah, it might only take 1 week to fuck you in the ass, though.
Exactly.
Also, with the match play, we had a great. I wouldn't say we had the greatest final, but I like the match play format, especially when it's hopped up in the hype of March Madness. It's right in that time. Wanted to shout out, obviously, Joel Damon getting his first win at Punta Cana. His first thing he said right out of in the mic, he said, "It's really freaking hard to win a golf tournament." And just think about that. He didn't have the field that he plays, week in and week out. He's still, it's really freaking hard to win a golf tournament. And, he's been on a few podcasts that I listen to, and he's an everyman, kind of like the guys that we like to watch and follow. And I believe he's a testicular cancer survivor. So see, he says everything after surviving that is basically house money. So congratulations to him getting a win at Punta Cana, which one of the podcasts we previewed during the pandemic. I don't know if you guys remember that. I had the nice, sweet background. But another thing that's come up here in the talking circles, and I know it kind of comes up every year, but this year it seems to be generating a lot of buzz, maybe because golf is becoming more popular right now, is having a major championship, whether it be one of the original four or adding another one, be a match play event. So I kind of wanted to get your all's thoughts on that. And if you like it, you dislike it, why you do or why you don't. I mean, I know that they're talking about like the PGA is kind of almost the most often overlooked event, so much so that they had to even move it to kind of almost make it relevant. So they had to move it, the Players Championship gets more brouhaha than the PGA Championship does, and it's not even a major. So they were talking about making the PGA Championship a major. I don't agree with that. However, I wouldn't mind seeing a major or a Players Championship like similarity, a match play event. What do you guys think on that? John, I'll let you start.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron, and also shout out to Joel Damon. He's been on tour for 5 years. He also said that he didn't ever think he would be on the PGA Tour, and now he just won an event, and he's great. Getting back to the point of the match play, we all love match play. The one thing I'm scared about with that idea is that it might diminish the value of the Ryder Cup. So we all know a friend of mine who's over right now, Anthony Moody, we were just talking about going to Whistling Straits for the Ryder Cup this year, and that's an epic event. And it just doesn't seem like it would sort of catch on, particularly on Sunday when it's down to two players, right? You only have that much airtime when it comes to taking, how much advertisement can you fill in between each of those people's shots? It's much better on a Sunday, the Ryder Cup, when you have 12 matches going on, right? Where you only have one match on Sunday, it just doesn't make sense as far as making it a marquee event, in my opinion.
Yeah, you could argue. I mean, especially the only way it would really be fun to watch is if it's Rory v. Bryson or DJ v. Rahm, not Billy Horschel v. Scotty Scheffler. No, no disrespect to those guys.
We love those guys, right? Absolutely, and we love those guys, and we know both of them have been on a roll, and we talked about both of them a lot in the podcast. And it's funny, I took Terrell Hatton in the one and done this week because it's sort of a throwaway event when you're looking at a long-term perspective, because anything can happen, right? And I love watching the match play, especially with the group aspect and the playoffs, and it's one of my favorite events to watch. But I don't like the idea of if it's not broke, don't fix it. We have 4 great majors. Let's keep it going.
That's fair. That's a great way to put it. I think so too. I mean, my initial thoughts were, a match play would be cool as a kind of secondary thing. Having it something with a purse like a major could make it interesting and have, a good feel. But you're right. If it comes down to Sunday and we're, all due respect, we're looking at Billy Horschel versus Scotty Scheffler, the CBS is not going to want that.
Yep, that was the point I was going to make in the sole and only one. I'm like everybody else here. I love match play. I love the format. As a former competitive golfer, not at a high level at all, but it was certainly my favorite type of event to play in. But the networks will not go for it for exactly how what John said. I think it's just not doable in a long-term sense. In fact, they really considered jockeying the WGC tournament slate back in the day. I mean, years ago now, about 4 or 5 years into the WGCs, when they just started in '99, I think in 2004, they almost got rid of the match play event. So, yeah, I just think it's tough. It's a tough sell, and it's just not going to happen. I think it's nice to have once a year maybe you can come up with. I just think there's better ideas and other things we haven't explored yet either. There's definitely different types of formats, different things you can do. We now have a partner event that we never used to have before, which I think is great, once a year. So yeah, I think there's other stuff, and majors are what they are. I don't think we need to make it any more of a big deal or less than what it is. We don't want to me, I don't want to see it watered down a tournament exactly like this. Because to me, this is a great tournament. And, Corey Connors will stipulate it's probably one of the greatest things that's ever happened to him. He is number 45 in the world right now, and he was a nothing. He had no status on a tour 2 years ago, and he wins this tournament. He's now in the top
Monday qualified.
Yeah, Monday qualified.
Monday qualified, and it's just, this is the type of stuff that I really love. Yes, I do enjoy the majors. I'm not saying I don't. But, this is what I really, really, really like about golf.
Amazing.
It's exactly like this on courses that are fantastic and really interesting, intriguing type of fields. I know it's not the greatest field in the world, but there's a lot of really good players still. So, to me, I'm with you, John. In general, basically everything you said is, we don't really have a broken system here, so I'm not really sure what we need to do.
Well, Tony just kind of brought up a point I was going to actually bring up to you. You're a big tennis guy, and obviously, we have men's, women's, and we have doubles, and sometimes we have mixed doubles. I'm wondering if there's another event, and again, it doesn't have to be a major, but just more events that maybe we can have best balls, alternate shots, team events. I know we have one event that is a team event, but there could be some things that, golf could do to shake it up, maybe for the better, hopefully not for the worse. But is there anything that you could see that you would like to see in like the world of tennis, converting that over? Like a mixed doubles event would be kind of cool. Maybe not as a major, but like, incorporate the LPGA and the PGA into an event.
Kind of like a charity side event kind of in
Maybe
the beginning and then expand upon it.
Yeah, you can always try it out as a practice run.
I would even like the idea of even more of a Stableford event too. I like the scoring method of it. I like the idea of players going more for risk than the traditional lay off the gas kind of style, and you get more excitement out of that for sure. With Stableford, if you finish double or worse, you get the same score no matter what. So
I think the best way to do it, instead of doing the Stableford, is to do a birdies -2 and maybe an eagles -4. Something along those lines that the public can grasp onto instead of the Stableford, which it makes a lot of sense mathematically where you're using that system. I always talk about that Steve Lowry when he won at I think International at Denver. Man, it was one of the best tournaments I've ever seen. He had like double eagle. He got up and down out of the water. And
it was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous, right, Token? It was one of the most amazing golf tournaments I've seen. But like I said, as I digress, they should just make birdies worth 2, make eagles worth 5. Par is even, obviously, and then bogey is 1. And everything's the same. It's just everything doubles.
So right? Stableford almost flipped. I can tell you that. I remember the first time I ever saw Stableford, and I saw a guy win at like plus 25, and I just couldn't wrap my head around. What are we doing?
Like, maybe I could compete at that.
Yeah, I think I can win this tournament. Oh, wait, never mind.
Yeah. Double everything under par, and that's it. Everything else is the same.
Does golf need a shakeup like this? I know that this becomes a talking point, but I bet this would have a lot more of a snowball effect if we were looking at DJ and Rory Sunday instead of Scheffler and Horschel. I think a lot of more people would be calling, hey, this needs to happen. Maybe once we finally got to Sunday, they were like, man, this is actually quite boring. Even the consolation matchup, with Matt Kuchar and I forget the other guy's name. It's just not must-see TV. I think the stroke play really, allows, 10, 15 guys to be in it every day versus we're watching 2 guys play golf.
Yeah, it's a better format. It's a better format for the general masses and for TV. It doesn't mean anything. But I really like it. I'm not actually necessarily thinking about what would make it the most popular. To me, that doesn't really matter. I love the sport for what it is. I don't think it necessarily needs anything else. I think there's so many great guys that have not only come up but are still also trying to get there and trying to find a win. Guys like Joel Damon, who are just a great story and a great example, and who have a real personality. They're just. I seemingly only 5-10 years ago there were very few guys that had a real type of personality that we get to know, and Joel Damon is the exact sort of opposite, of that. He is as real as it is. He just speaks off the cuff. He's interesting. He's funny. And, I think the game of golf is the best it's ever been. We've talked about I was not a Tiger Woods guy, growing up. And I think while so much golf was able to, expand and become bigger, it left a lot of other guys in the dust that we didn't get to know nearly as well. And so now we're getting to know so many different guys. And I think it's an incredible spot the game is in. It's absolutely incredible. And unfortunately, match play and trying to figure out what to do with that is not going to improve it. Even if you have a big matchup, it's not going to draw nearly as many eyeballs. It isn't. It's an off type of week, even though it's a WGC. But for the masses, it's just always going to be an off week.
Yeah, and Token, I guess the system here basically is, and we saw it kind of during the pandemic with the Tiger Phil match with Brady and Peyton, and then we saw the match with Rory. Help me out here, I think it was Rory, JT, and Spieth at Seminole Golf Club. We saw some of these, I guess, alternative forms of golf on TV, and maybe because of the pandemic, the ratings were successful, but I would like to see some of these side things, maybe not official events, but I'd like to see some of these side things more where they're kind of gambling a little bit, even if it's for charity or something. Throw some of these Nassau's or Vegas or, even like Bingo Bango Bongo. Play some of those games on the side for fun.
Play some Wolf.
Wolf would be an interesting one. Yeah, that would be I don't know how you'd make that a sanctioned event, but that would be an interesting side little
It would be very educational for probably the average golfer. I mean, because a lot of them don't even know that.
Yeah, it's so you was it whoever hits the
first shot.
First shot is the Wolf.
It has the option to go lone wolf or.
That's right. Yeah. I remember that. And you play 1 versus 3.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in here because
okay.
I'm very indebted in the Wolf game. What happens is you flip a tee and you decide an order. Whoever goes first is going to hit his tee shot. He watches everybody else hit their tee shot. But what happens is he has to pick a partner. If he doesn't pick the partner before the next person hits their shot, he can't take him anymore. So let's say I hit a decent shot. Aaron goes up there, hits it. Decent, not great. I have to take him before the next person hits. So the gamble is, who's behind them, right? Yeah. If I got like Token behind them, I'm gonna be like, I'll probably take Aaron, right?
Thanks for the big deal.
But,
the scary thing is it's usually my second shot you got to worry about. So.
Yeah, well, that's a part of it too, and that's why it stinks for me and Wolf because I don't hit it too far off the tee, but I'm good as far as score. But most people they don't like to take me, so they hit a good tee shot as the Wolf, and they'll take the other super long tee shot. So they have 2 good tee shots, and I end up with the odd man out, right? Anyways, it's a great game, and as we talked about before, this would be great to bring more gambling into the aspect. Now, it's particularly that sports gambling is going nationwide now. It's more accepted. It's not something that.
And they can do it for charity. They can gamble for charity. Is fine with me.
Sure. One thing I thought about was to get Topgolf to sponsor an event with pro golfers. I think that would take off. It's particularly if it was videoed and they could make a great production out of that.
Well, they had those
audience though, John. That's the problem. Is I know a little bit about Target Golf. Actually had had a couple of meetings with them back when I was in the golf industry. That is not really their audience and their target, demographic, and it's for the general casual masses, and they want to sell a bunch of food and drink, as well. It's I'm not quite sure that's the money that they want to be putting down.
Well, they had something on, I don't know if it was the Golf Channel, where it was like a mixed team where it was a male and a female, and they were having to hit targets. And obviously, based on me not knowing what the fuck it was, obviously it didn't catch wind too well. But if anybody can remember the name of that, I don't remember that one off the top of my head. But that used to.
In actuality, Tony makes a great point. And excuse me for Aaron to cut you off, but look at the Steph Curry. What was that? The putt challenge that he had on NBC.
Oh,
it was called Holy Moly or something.
Yeah,
he still has that. Yeah.
And complete flop. And you don't want to make it too.
I actually don't think it's a flop. I think that thing's still going, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to check.
Is it really? Yeah.
I think it's still on the air.
As far as the reviews I've seen and what I've seen, it seems like it hasn't done so well.
Yeah, it's on February 22nd. It was renewed for a 4th season. So,
wow,
somebody's watching it.
Amazing.
Not us, but somebody's watching. Yeah, Steph Curry. That is his little brainchild there. So
there's not as many golfers in the world as
and in Australia, it's got to own one too. I just looked it up too.
Oh, wow.
Is it like Crikey Moly?
No, it's still called Holy Moly. Probably with more kangaroos and
Crocodile Dundee edition.
From down under.
You call that a putt? This is a putt.
You call that a knife? All right, so let's move. Let's move to the Valero Texas Open here, and obviously we're in San Antonio. The field is. I don't want to say mediocre. I think the field, it's not one of the better fields. There are some guys in the field that we talked about. We got the favorite here this week, Jordan Spieth. Excuse me, not Justin Spieth. Jordan Spieth is the favorite after DJ withdrew this week. So we've got a decent field. I mean, we got Finau, Matsuyama. It's not a sexy field, John. I know that you're a big fan of sexy fields, but. We do have a couple of known guys.
This field is awful.
It's not great. You're right. It's not great. But we are in the
Sam Burns is in there, so
Yeah, we are in the tune-up for the Masters. So not only do the players need to get tuned up, I think we got to dial it in this week to get ourselves tuned up for Augusta coming up very shortly here. So, Tony, you're going to give us a course outline here and give us a little bit of information on TPC San Antonio, the Oaks course.
Yeah, so a couple of courses out there at TPC San Antonio, and it's actually kind of a full-on JW Marriott resort. We have one of those actually out here in Las Vegas as well, which has golf attached. And a lot of the players actually take this as kind of a family time or as a vacation time. Matt Kuchar is renowned for doing this. And he says that when he's able to bring the family and everybody there, he actually tends to be focused a little bit more. While actually playing golf, and he tends to play well, and he likes it when everyone's there. And there's quite a few guys that do this as well. So I think that's an important note to make here is that they get to stay on site. Not always, every week are you obviously able to stay right on site there, but all the golfers, caddies, everybody able to stay on site even during the pandemic time. So that's very, very helpful and very, very nice. But yeah, getting to the course and getting to the general area. I mean, this is. People think about Texas golf. Well, what's your first thought of Texas golf? Well, I guess there might be some wind or, kind of these wind-beaten sort of fairways and spots and undulations. And that's exactly what all of that is right here. And it's just a fantastic, fantastic venue. Pretty stock, par 72, but not stock in regards to yards, 7,435 yards. It's a beast. It's a beast not just by length, but it's a beast everywhere else. Pretty tight fairways here. Not as tight as what we saw a couple of weeks back. I know when we talked about PGA National, but those are about 25 yards wide. That's about as tight as it gets. These still 28, 29 yards wide at about 300 yards out from the tee box. And, that's tough. Tough to do when you have, mostly 5 to 15 mile an hour crosswinds. Greg Norman built this course on purpose so there would be a lot of crosswinds off the tee, trying to find some of these fairways. Just a wonderful design, really, really fascinating. Got to be able to move the ball a little bit both ways, or if you're not in the move the ball mode, is play the wind and do the best you can. The rough is actually difficult, can be patchy, and a bit spongy at times, even. Again, I think on purpose. Only grown out 2 inches because of that, because it can be difficult. But really an interesting kind of way that you can route yourself around this golf course. This is a thinking man or women or child's course. It really is. Got to find your way, get a good miss off the tee, get a good miss off the green, and maybe you can try to score and scramble up and down for a par. But we're going to see some tested players here this week. There's no question about that. Getting to the greens, a lot of multi-tiered greens, creative complexes. Greg Norman, we've seen this at Mayakoba. We've seen this at TPC Sugarloaf. They used to play a tournament back there in March or April all the way through 2007 in Georgia, Duluth area, I believe. Fantastic golf course out there at Sugarloaf. Very, very similar to kind of this course. When wind can become a factor, it just becomes very difficult getting the ball in the right tier of the green. These greens play about top 10 toughest over the last 10 years since we've moved out here to TPC San Antonio for this tournament throughout the year. So no question the POA. So they are mostly POA greens, overseeded with POA. Technically Bermuda, by actual build out, but they have become POA now at 6,400 square feet. And as I mentioned earlier, weather is the big factor here. We're not going to see any of those big time crazy wind days. I don't know if you guys remember, but Jordan Spieth and Jimmy Walker kind of went head to head here about 4 or 5 years ago. And I think it blew 20 to 30 miles an hour on Saturday. The average score was like a 75, and these two guys, I think, went 67, 68. And it was just a battle on Sunday to see who could survive. But it's, this is the type of tournament where you have to be able to control your golf ball. Looks like about 10, 15 miles an hour most days here. We're not going to see much more than that. However, a little bit cooler than normal. Only a high of about 67, 68 all 4 of these days. So, again, I don't think it's going to be necessarily the most difficult we've seen this tournament play over the last 10 years or so, but it will be a challenge. And we will see some guys fire some really, really big scores here on Thursday and Friday trying to make the cut, because if you're not on your game, you're going to make a ton of bogeys. One note I wanted to make is I was looking at some of the players that have done well here. You think par 72, really long course, it's going to be a big hitters course. Well, the top 20 players by scoring average, I'm going to name some of these guys, and these are not long hitters. Charles Howell, Brian Gay, Rory Sabatini, Ryan Palmer, Matt Kuchar, Jim Furyk, Brandon Grace, Graham McDowell. I mean, that's in the top 20 of scoring average, at this tournament. So, anybody can win here. You got to be thoughtful around the course, and I think it's just going to be a really, really interesting week. It's one of my favorite weeks on tour. It really is.
Like I said, it's a tune-up. It gets these guys prepared, and the ones who feel that they're prepared for Augusta are going to take the week off. Token, how do you feel about Jordan Spieth being the favorite here at 11 to 1?
I don't like it at all. I think he's really overvalued in this spot. I think he should be, yes, closer to the top, but not that far to the top. I think just his performance in the last couple months has really pushed him towards the top, and the books have taken notice of it and kind of subpar field. He was the favorite just because of that. So,
who's your favorite, Token, if you had to make them?
If I had to make one, I would say Abraham Answer, but probably not the winner.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would say him or Finau, but Finau's really hit or miss too. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What would be a better odds, John? You should probably unmute your microphone there, John.
Beeler.
John, you got to unmute if you want us to hear you, sir.
There you go.
Nice jab. Sick jab, sir. Anyway.
Well, I figured you were going to diss me, but I couldn't hear you. So
Yeah, very well done. You caught me before I catch you. I don't know. It's very wide open. It's going to be a very broad favorite. So you have to understand there's not going to be a like the Tigers back in the day. Corey Connors. Yeah, look at this guy right now. I think he made the cut, or he finished 61st last week or whatever, and he finished 7th and 3rd before that. I think he finished 7th at the Players' Championship. Guys like that, it's just very broad. Throw Palmer in there, who's been playing great as well. I love this tune-up to the Masters and how they shave everything down. Tony has talked about this as far as how we can combat the talent of golfers that are coming up now, how we shave down the sides and make it tough for them, make it a little bit more tight around the fairways and the greens, and to where it'll roll in bunkers and bad spots. It's sort of a great lead up to the Masters, which should be phenomenal this year. Do we know anything about the patrons coming to Augusta?
I haven't heard anything. I think we're going to get like a limited.
Yeah, they're limited patrons from what I understand.
Yeah.
I don't think they sold tickets to the public, but it's a lot of, regular type of people. People have been there, 20, 30 straight years. And then I believe they are still allowing them to all of the PGA, member professionals that want to get tickets and are able to travel like they have in years past. From what I understand, very limited. Maybe about a third of the audience, and they're going to allow a few more as this week comes in here to see what they can allow.
All right, so we're going to take just a quick commercial break here. Let 12-ounce sports pay some bills here. And on the other side, we're going to talk about the featured groups, and we're going to get into our bets here for the Valero Texas Open preview show. It is the Vegas Squares podcast. We will see you on the other side.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
All right, welcome back to the Vegas Squares Golf Betting Podcast. Here we are previewing the Valero Texas Open, also known as the tune-up for Masters at Augusta next week. And we are going to talk about the featured groups here. Token, I'll start with you here with A group that's it's considered featured with this field that John so affectionately calls atrocious and awful. But we got a Gary Woodland and Ricky Fowler paired together with Scotty Scheffler. I mean, no guy has been as hot as Scotty Scheffler since the restart, as far as he won Rookie of the Year. And then you got two guys who just kind of muddle through the PGA right now. Ricky Fowler, I mean, we talked about him in the last podcast, just isn't getting it done. Going to miss the Masters this year. But and then you got Gary Woodland, who we tend to try to get bullish on him from time to time. It just nothing's really working with him. But then you got Scotty Scheffler. I mean, the guy almost won match play last week. And, is there a chance that he could kind of use this springboard from the runner-up at match play to win, not only win at Valero, but maybe even, turn some heads at Augusta next week?
No, not a chance at all, in my opinion. I mean, the strongest out of these three, in my opinion, would probably be Gary Woodland. I mean, I have no faith in Ricky Fowler. Scotty Scheffler, I think, was a one-pump chump last week, and does pretty well this week, but, however, just falls off almost.
Well, he does on Sundays. He ranks 17th in the PGA in scoring average on Thursday, and 67th on Sundays. So
yeah, 67th ain't gonna win you any championship, if even get you in any top 10. So
yeah, John, this was the group we're talking about here. We have a guy like Corey Connors, whose career basically this tournament got him on the map in 2019. Like we talked about the Monday qualifier, you got Corey Connors, Ryan Palmer, who's a Texas boy, and obviously Jordan Spieth, who not only is a Texas boy and the favorite, but I think a lot of people are definitely putting a lot of pressure on him to look good this week, because there's a lot of people that think he's going to be a guy to beat at Augusta. I'm not one of those guys, but there's a lot of people who just think he's back now.
He is sort of back, and it's good to see him on the leaderboards. Like I said, he's our new Captain America, right, boys?
Well, let me ask you this then, John, before you go into this. If he's back, if we consider that back, then we can't shit on Tony Finau as much as we do.
Yes, we can. No.
Two
Yes.
different. Are those two? I mean, come on. I mean, Jordan Spieth is back according to John Parr, but he hasn't won a tournament. So then Tony Finau.
I've never seen a Tony hate another Tony so much. I'm telling you.
I never
that
thought
makes
about
two.
that.
I would take Tony in a dead heat first round, and that's about it. Or maybe a dead heat.
That's a great point. Great point, Togan.
Yeah.
Go on, Tony. I would love to rebuttal.
We can shit on Tony Finau as much as possible. Tony should have won way more than one-off tournament. Again, remember the tournament that he won was Puerto Rico. It was a secondary tournament that week. So, because there was WGC that week. So, no. This is a multiple major winner, a guy that has been, he's a Hall of Fame golfer. If he died, if he just croaked tomorrow, Jordan Spieth is in the Hall of Fame. So
I call on that one.
Yeah, me too. Is it because of his character or his golf skills?
it's because he's a multiple major winner. What do you? Yes, it's his golf skills. What the hell is wrong with you people? Like he's won.
How many?
Break a leg, Tony Finau. Break a leg.
Are all? If you win 2 majors, are you automatically in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know. But I know that everyone's going to want to put Freddie Couples in the Hall of Fame. He certainly doesn't deserve it, in my opinion. He's won 1. So what are we talking about here? What is Spieth won 3?
Yeah, that's because it brought it back. Freddie Couples had charisma, just like Jordan Spieth does, and a bunch of character. Finau, let's say Finau wins 2 majors over the course of 20 years, and Jordan finishes with 2 majors. Okay, who gets in? Jordan, because of his charisma.
I guess, yeah. I mean, all right. You know what? I'm looking at the World Golf Hall of Fame here, Tony, and Retief Goosen is in it.
Also a Hall of Famer. Yes.
There you go. Great one. Great one.
Jordan Spieth's a Hall of Famer. He's right. He's right.
And
Multiple major winner. You win.
Should not be.
His caddy's a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
So if you win 2 majors, you're pretty much in. That's.
And he's won 3, and he's not even 30.
All right, that's like I said, that's totally fair. I called you. You win. Nice hand. Here, take my chips.
Yeah, and also they should just make it.
Right.
Hey,
And,
you win 2 majors, especially with the parity. If you win 2 majors, then you're automatically in. Boom.
But the question is,
believe
do you have to win 2 separate majors, or can you just win like the U.S. Open twice?
That's a good point.
So I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, let's move forward here, and like I said, the featured groups here. We got Spieth, Palmer, and Connors. John, what's your thoughts on this group? I mean, like I said, Texas boy Ryan Palmer is getting a lot of sleeper love here. And like I said, Jordan Spieth, you said he's back. So is he the man to beat this week? And then if he wins this week, is he the man to beat next week?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to just throw a win out there. I think he's back to contend and make cuts because he wasn't making cuts before. And to see Ryan Palmer playing well lately, it's going to be interesting to see if they play well. And, Texas people, I feel like they're very proud of their Texas culture. So I think both of them will play pretty well. And a good little top 20, top 30 bet should serve the handicappers well.
Well, see, you're right. It's the personality thing that gets me. It's this, and you said Jordan Spieth is back, and now, like, we know that Rory's off right now. Now, if Rory starts T10ing a few events in a row, because I mean, let's face it, we talked about this with Jordan Spieth. We said, hey, it's nice that he can go compete in Pebble and go compete at the Waste Management, but when the field is there, I mean, this is another one where the field's not there. He's got to win. He's got to win something. I don't know. It'll be fun. He's a good golfer. He's a Hall of Famer, according to Tony Johnson. So
I agree with that.
I do now. Yes. All right. And the last one I see here, ironically, Tony, I'll give this to you. Tony Finau, Cam Champ, and our last week champion Joel Damon as a group. That could be a fun group to watch.
Yeah, a lot of big hitting in that group. Holy moly. I mean, Joel's going to be 40 to 50 yards behind, those two guys, I think, off a lot of these tees. So, we'll see. We'll see how will Joel respond. Joel is not exactly, the most normalish player that we see week in and week out. He's a different breed, as you've talked about, Aaron, and I've heard him on, a bunch of these podcasts too. I'm not so sure he's as phased after something like this as somebody else. He will keep his foot on the gas, at all given moments, when other guys won't. So I find that very interesting and very intriguing here. Do not like what we've seen from Tony Finau recently. He was red hot starting out in January and February. He has now since cooled off for these last 2 or 3 weeks. And what we've seen him cool off is the stuff that he's usually great at. Is GIR, it's proximity to the hole, and it is any sort of driving accuracy. He's not obviously accurate off the tee. He's even worse. He's hitting like 26% of fairways on his last 3 tournaments. So all of that combined, and he already struggles a bit, with the flat stick. This is just not a time here, for Tony Finau. Obviously, the odds are always going to be low enough. He contends so often, he doesn't win. So we just can't be betting Tony Finau. He just really can't be bet until those odds get into a better spot. He's not ideal here. Cameron Champ, I'm not really sure why they came up with him. This doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, especially in a proximity way. He's a Northern California guy. So it makes sense if it was out in NorCal, in the wine country tournament that they run in September, October. But yeah, I don't really know about this group. It doesn't excite me very much. I'm not going to lie to you. Clearly. I think, if anything, it'll be interesting to see how Joel Damon responds. I wanted to comment just very, very quickly here on the Jordan Spieth, Ryan Palmer thing. Last year, actually, speaking of NorCal, and the PGA Championship on Sunday, they were the second group out, had a very big money match. It was Palmer against Spieth. They were in the same group, twosomes. big money match. Spieth was struggling badly, still shot 4 under, and Palmer nipped him at a 6 under par clip. Those were 2 out of the 4 lowest scores that entire day were those 2 guys. So they are very friendly with each other. They certainly, the Texas thing, as I think you mentioned, John, they tend to stick together. These guys do very much like each other. It's a very comfortable pairing. So we'll see if that works out well for both of them.
Yeah, and I mean, Ryan Palmer, it seems like every time we get to Texas, he gets a lot of this love. But, the guy hasn't won in over a decade by himself. So I don't know if I'd really be liking to ride that horse. So
Sure.
All right, let's move into the futures bets here. Token, I'll have you start us off in the double-digit clump.
I only have one, and that's kind of a dark horse one almost. Is Matthew Neesmith is 65-1. I really like him. Definitely very good for green and regulation, scrambling and putting. So definitely a dark horse in this field.
All right, John, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to ride a couple horses that I have. Sam Burns, looking for that first elusive win, 45-1 on DraftKings. Had a 23rd last year in 2019, third in Riviera earlier this year. He's on the precipice, and this type of tournament is the tournament that first-time winners win. And the other one's Denny McCarthy with a recent third at the Honda, 70-1. Nice odds there. Great putter, and looking for a first win on tour.
Mr. Johnson, your top futures guys here.
Making history. We are making history this week. This is the first time I've ever had this guy. I know that's somewhere, and I'm not sure where, but I'm pretty sure I know where Token is right now. He's going to be very happy because this is the first time I have ever laid any money on Abraham Answer. But I think the number is, I know it's low, but I think it's a really, really good spot for him here. So
20 is what I see on William Hill, yeah.
Yeah, so I got 23 at Circa yesterday, and he's down to 22 now, so I feel like I've won sort of something, although I'd like to see him play and maybe win the tournament. But I just like this spot. Obviously, we know he's pretty comfortable around here. He does live in Texas now, clearly from that, sort of part of the, the world, if you will, being close to Mexico. And again, it's a great tournament and a great spot for him. He tends to play very well in these tournaments where you have to be very accurate. You have to be able to control your golf ball. Putting is so varied at a course in a tournament like this, especially putting on POA. I really think that, again, if we see Answer put it together, and if the ball striking is what he's capable of, which we know he's capable of being a top 5-10 ball striker on the entire planet, this is our guy. This is our winner, I think, this week. So to pull a Token even more so, I think this is our winner here at 23-1 at Circa. So I'll be going down and collecting that money because I actually have it in a ticket form.
Nice.
I was there, and so that'll be kind of fun if and when that happens. And my only other guy in the double digits is Ryan Moore here at 73-1, also at Circa. Ryan Moore, this is he has these favorite courses versus courses he hates, and he's talked about this before. Ryan's other guy, straight shooter, local guy here, for us. Ryan loves this course. He loves these type of conditions. He's talked about this before. I've saw multiple quotes about how much he loves playing in San Antonio. Really likes the resort, likes the area. He's played here 5 times. He's made the cutoff 5 times. He has 3 top 10s. He had a couple of shots on Sundays over the last 5 years. Wasn't able to get it done. Just like him. I like the way his game fits really beautifully in a course like this. 73-1, we're going to go for it here at Circa. He's much lower in other places, 60. At MGM, 60 at William Hill, I believe, 65 over at Westgate. I think we're doing well with that number here, so those are my 2 guys.
All right, fair enough. I'm light action this week as well. I've got 2 guys. I've got 1 guy, excuse me. I got 2 guys total. 1 guy in this. I'm going to ride the Mr. Consistency here, and at 50-1, I'm going to take Zach Johnson. Maybe he can sneak out one, especially right before going to Augusta, of course, obviously, that he likes as well. So I'm gonna take Zach Johnson. I was thinking about Matt Kuchar when you talked about, how he gets kind of laid back in this course, and he's always a guy who can win. I don't want to say the irrelevant events, but he can definitely compete in events of this type.
Yeah.
And the match play, etc. So I thought about him, ultimately laid off, but I'm going to go with Zach Johnson at 50-1 for this.
I last week heard him, Aaron. I think he would have been around the 70 to 80 to 1 mark, but he had a really nice week last week. I think I heard his number here, so it's unfortunate. It really is.
That's okay.
I feel like that, like last week was his last
Still some
hurrah.
value.
Honestly, future. It's gonna be
Maybe
tough
so.
for
I
him
mean,
to keep up.
But
they get guys like him or even Furyk. I like this week. It's guys like both of them. They could just catch fire out of nowhere, and they'll have the wherewithal to keep their minds right and win a golf tournament.
All right, Token. Let's hear some long shots.
I've only got one on the slate, and that is Nate Lashley at 150-1.
Nice. Going back to Nate.
Yep. Yeah, I'm surprised you're not surprised it's not Schwartzel this week, but
No, we know you'll take him next week.
no.
Already
No.
Oh, that was the November match. Yeah. That's
Yep.
right. Okay.
All right, John, what do you got here?
Yeah, it's funny that we all have our guys, right? And it's not because we're being lazy. It's because you do have to put in a few weeks with a particular golfer to make money. You can't just put one
and done.
Tokens talked about it. Absolutely. You've talked about it before where you bet a guy 3 weeks in a row, 4 weeks in a row, and you give him up on the fifth week, and then
he comes
they
through.
win.
Yep.
And you have to ride them out until they have a couple miscuts. So I'm going to ride Jimmy Furyk out. We all have our guys, 125-1. Let's ride it out. Let's let him catch fire and win one.
All right. Well, at least my guys don't have an AARP card, but I got
I sort of felt that coming. I really did. I really felt
Slap
that
to the face.
That's good. I'm glad you're feeling it. So that's nice. But I got 4 guys here.
Done.
I love all 4 of these guys. Really do. I think these numbers are good. I'm feeling very good this week. So first guy here, pure number, not much more than that. Matt Wallace at 105. Matt Wallace is one of the top 30 to 40 players in the world. He shouldn't be 105-1 in a lighter field like this. That number sucks. It's not the right number. That's over at Circa. He's 80 to 100 in other places. I just think this number is too good to pass up. My best bet this week, just based on number movements, is Danny Lee. Now, I am a renowned Danny Lee bettor in Texas events. Since Danny moved to the United States about 8 or 9 years ago, he has lived in Dallas. He's lived in San Antonio. He's lived like somewhere weird outside of Austin. And he's lived somewhere else. Yeah, something like that. I'm not even really sure. But he's a Texas guy. He loves it. He's a very comfortable type of dude. He likes to play, at home, places like that. He's a member at a bunch of courses, including where they play the Byron Nelson now at Trinity and a few other spots. I like Danny Lee in Texas a lot. Another guy that controls golf ball. 200-1, he opened at a couple of different places. He's now, weirdly enough, 100, I think, at William Hill. He's 125 at Westgate, 135 at Circa. So really happy with the 200-1. I think there were other people like me waiting on the Danny Lee train in Texas. So I'm not the only weirdo that likes to do things like this. Danny's results are really amazing. He's got 8 top 10s in 23 events in Texas in his career. So, again, something like that I think is paying attention to. And then 2 other guys to talk about what you guys have, staying with people for a few weeks. I'm going to go to Jason Duffner again for the second time here in the last 3 weeks. Now up to 300-1. In fact, he actually played quite well down in Florida 2 weeks ago. Faded on Sunday. He was terrible with every club in his bag, not just putter like we expect him to be bad, but he was certainly bad everywhere. And still, though, he had a chance. He was 18th or 20th going into Sunday. Again, are you confident? Are you happy, with a guy like Jason Duffner who can't putt? Not really, but at 300-1 in weird conditions when you have to control the golf ball, which is what he can do, if anything, I'm going to take him 300-1.
Value.
And then another flyer here, just a guy that is kind of, again, janky with the short stuff, but when he puts it together, he puts it up in droves, and that's Austin Cook. An Arkansas guy living in Texas now. I believe his wife is from there, so they've moved down there. Austin's won a couple of times. He's got Monday qualified 3 times in 5 weeks, like 4 or 5 years ago. That's how he got on the tour originally. Just a streaky-ass dude. And we're going to take a shot with him at 400 to 1. Also over at Sir.
Yeah, I got one long shot here, simply because he's a Florida State guy. So I'm going to go with Chase Seifert here. He's 125 to 1 on William Hill. He's been playing well the last few weeks. T15 Puerto Rico, T3 at the Honda, and 18 at the Punta Cana Resort and Club Championship. So we're going to take a flyer. We're going to throw a few shekels on Chase Seifert at 125 to 1. All right, Token, why don't you go ahead and give us our matchups and or props?
I've got 3 this week. So I've got Sam Burns over Cameron Davis at plus 105. I actually really like him this week. Kind of a dark horse, probably a top 10 player. Hoffman over Palmer, minus 105. I saw a little value in that one. And then Doug Gim making another appearance this week against Aaron Wise at minus 110.
You would be wise to fade Doug Gim.
I don't think this week.
Maybe not. I root for the guy. He just bumfucked me a couple weeks in a row. So
Fair enough.
So, John, what do we got here?
So we've been fading Fowler, and I echo Tony's sentiments earlier about Damon. If you looked at him,
I think we lost Tony, and I don't know if you guys saw his frozen face. It was fantastic. So
yeah,
he's gone now. But.
Fantastic. Either way, I am echoing his sentiments with Damon. How Damon missed 6 cuts in a row before you won. Why not roll with them? If it was someone else that sort of led up to a big win and now you're exasperated, that's the guy you fade. With Damon, he came out of nowhere. He's still got a little bit of juice in the bag. So I have him against Fowler, minus 120 against Fowler.
Love it.
And it's weird how Damon is minus 120 versus Fowler. It's almost like a trap bet, right? Everybody that goes on that William Hill app, they're going to say, oh, I'm going to go ahead and bet Fowler. You're getting a great value against Damon. But I'm rolling with Damon this week.
The crazy thing is I wonder how Fowler feels coming up to this weekend knowing that he's not playing next week. I mean, that hasn't happened to him.
Yeah.
I'm just playing a little devil's advocate here.
No, and I just like it how you bring up every sort of emotional part of the game, right?
Well, sometimes we almost forget that when you're betting.
People.
Sometimes we forget that when we're betting is and in all sports, you think what's going on in these people's lives. He took the high road with the Nick Faldo comments, did Ricky Fowler. But it's got to be a weird feeling knowing that he's got the week off next week. It's got to be a weird feeling that he's not going to be playing Augusta.
Tony, we're talking about how I bet Damon this week just because of what you said. Well, we were thinking the same way for the first time in a while. But about Damon and Fowler. And we've been fading Fowler. And Damon had missed 5 out of 6 cuts, and he comes out and wins one. I think he's got a lot of juice left. What do you think? Tony?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly possible. It's certainly possible. I just don't like the number. I think the number is now kind of over-adjusted, and no, I wouldn't put it past him. But if you're especially bring up those 2 type of guys, I think the number is probably a lot better with Ricky Fowler, and his record here is good. He's only played here twice, but he's played well both times. So I just don't like the number. So I don't disagree with you, John. I do think he can play well. I don't think it's going to be one of those layoff type of things, but I just don't like the number.
Well, let's hear what you got for matchups.
I got two so far. I've bet. The third one I'm very, very close with, but haven't really done it yet. First one I think is pretty obvious because I think we have the winner. So it's Answer over Corey Connors, minus 110 over at Will Hill, both sides. I certainly like Abraham here. It's not necessarily very anti-Corey Connors, although I did consider Fowler over Connors at plus 160 on Circa. Again, Corey Connors is a great player. I'm not saying he isn't, but he is capable of blowing up. He's capable of big scores. And so guys that are capable of big scores, I really don't ever want to be on them in a match play sense. Certainly I'm willing to take a flyer for a future or something like that for sure, or a top 10 or whatever the case is, a prop. But in matchups, I don't want to be on those guys. And so here, Answer is not really that type of dude. I just think this fits really, really well. So I really like this one. And the other one I have here, I think is another really strong one, is Matsuyama over Tony Finau. Tend to stay away from the big-name players. In these matchups, I'm usually on the smaller guys. But this one I just think makes a lot of sense. It's plus 120 at Will Hill. We got like plus 110, plus 105 at different places. So I like this number at 120. I don't like how Finau's been playing. I don't really like necessarily, not that he's a fit type of player or whatever, but certainly, nothing here in regards to putting. I know that's where Matsu gets into a lot of trouble. But this type of course, I really think it evens out, long term on the field, especially on these greens. So I do like Matsu at plus 120, and strongly considering Kuchar over Zach Johnson, minus 105 at Westgate. I just like where Kuchar's game is at. I know Zach Johnson's been playing pretty well, but Kuchar's turn. This is a good tournament for him. Zach's won a couple of times, but one of those wins was not here. I was at a different track, before they moved over here. So I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'm not sold on this one yet. I kind of like having a dog with Matt Kuchar, but haven't fired it yet, so we don't know. But the first two, I'm definitely already in for.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I hope you're wrong in that aspect because Zach Johnson's going to win the whole damn thing. So. But you know what? I kind of liked Kuchar as well. So at the same time, I mean, I looked at that matchup and I'm like, how do I go either way with this one? So I'm not token, so I can't go either way, like he likes to say a lot. So the one matchup I looked at, and I think I'm going to end up probably firing it, and now I just lost it. Oh, it's the I'm going to fade the Ryan Palmer train here. I don't get all the love. He's not playing terribly, but at the same time, I don't understand all this love for Ryan Palmer simply because it's a home course. So, Tony, you know who I'm going to take at minus 105 to beat Ryan Palmer in the matchup?
Hoffman?
Your boy, Charlie Hoffman.
That's one that I said.
The all-time record leader.
I'm trailing you with that one. So
he's 10 for 10, and he's won, and he's never missed a cut, and I think he's got 6 top 10s in this tournament. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he hasn't been playing great, but you know what? We're gonna roll with it anyway. So
there you go.
All right, Token, we got some Corn Ferry action.
We do. We got some Corn Ferry and LPGA. So we got David Lipsky at 45-1 for the Corn Ferry Tour. And then we got, for the LPGA Tour, we got Lexi Thompson at 12-1 this week for the Anna Inspiration.
Nice. And our other guy, Tony Johnson, we got any Corn Ferry action? Or LPGA action?
Corn Ferry, it's one of my favorite LPGA tournaments. I love the ANA, the old Dinosaur tournament. It's a really awesome event. My favorite one maybe on the tour. I just have not, unfortunately, I'm not an excuse. I just have not had the time to do the research and put the time, do it the right way for me. That works for me. So I don't have anything, unfortunately, just enough here to just to get the PGA Tour done. I thought there was a lot of good spots here. I love handicapping TPC San Antonio, so I focused on that solely this week.
All right, fair enough. Then, Token, we're going to flip it back to you, give us a DFS lineup, and then I think this week on the podcast, I think while John is giving us the one and done, he should be doing the push-ups simultaneously.
I don't have a lot to go with. So 3 push-ups, that's it, man.
Well, you said 6 girls, so we'll take the 6 girl push-ups after Token gives us DFS. You might as well lumber up and get stretched.
Brace yourself, John. We got for DFS, we got Abraham Answer for 9,700. Cameron Tringali for 9,300. Zach Johnson for 8,500. Sam Burns for 8K. Doug Gim for 7,300, and then Nate Lashley for 6,900. I believe leaving 300 on the table.
He's got his long shot basement dweller there.
Yep.
Love it.
It's a good mix, though.
Oh,
All right, John, one and done. The rest of the podcast is yours.
all right. Thank you so much for giving me that. It's an easy pick. He's back. Jordan Spieth this week. I don't really see another time to take him. I guess I got to, get down here. I think I should do real push-ups, right? Right. Okay, so Jordan Spieth, right? He Texas boy, right? He hasn't missed a cut in the last 5 weeks that were proper. He has the little Sweet 16 at the WGC lately, right? Okay? And he wants to bring it back home to the state of Texas. Don't you guys believe? You guys believe? I know you do. All right.
Awesome
Ah!
stuff.
All right.
I believe in I believe in Santa.
That was
definitely going to be sore tomorrow. I'll tell you that.
I was just
But
getting
either
you motivated
way,
to work
it's
out
pretty
again.
much a lot. I know. Well, I'm caddying now, so I'm going to be in very good shape. I probably ran like 12 miles this weekend.
Nice.
Shadowing this he was like 60 years old, Italian guy. And I was like, no, he kept on telling me. He's like, no, I like to run. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'll keep up with you. And he ran me off the field. Yeah.
It's different carrying your bag for sure, too.
I said, I really need to get in shape now when he ran circles around me. And it was
He soul
very
rolled you.
fulfilling to just be around a guy like that and hard worker. And you should see this guy's calves. It's amazing. He's running up and down hills all day long, and I'm like, God damn, I want my calves to look like that.
It's like Johnny Drama.
It was a very fulfilling experience. And
Nice.
Tony, you've talked about it before, how you enjoyed it. And
I did. It's a great job. No, I really did. It was the first job I've ever had. I was very young. I was only in 5th, 6th grade starting out. Did it for 3 years. It's a great job, John. I think caddies are pretty awesome. I know it's a dying breed, a dying industry. It's a great thing. It's a great thing. I think it'll be great for you.
hey, more to come. More to come.
I was going to say, we're going to need stories for your rounds. Because, based on where you said you were caddying, there's going to be some stories. So.
Maybe one day the Dalai Lama.
Jeez.
Hey, llama.
How about something for the troubles?
Yeah. How about a little something, for the effort.
All right. Does anybody want to fire off a push-up bet for the Valero Texas Open? I know John's already he's got a heavy breathing pattern there.
I'm exhausted right now. Maybe next time.
I know, Aaron, you're anti-Gim. How about 2-2 for Gim versus Wise?
All right, I'll take it. Just
okay. It's just kind of light.
I'm the only one who hasn't done push-ups on the pod yet, so that's fair.
Perfect.
Okay.
And God forbid
Gim
the podcast
Wise.
The podcast will be exponentially funnier if I have to.
Absolutely.
I can't do them. So
that's why I only said 2. So
2 might be one too many. Let's put it that way. So.
Good man.
All right, fair enough.
We're definitely having push-up bets for the Masters, boys. So get your bets
wow.
ready for that.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
we're gonna do a Masters draft next week. All of us get 5 golfers.
Great.
Best score. We'll figure something out to play for.
I like it.
Masters draft is coming back 2021. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. We appreciate you guys listening, watching. Obviously, check out our sponsors. They are available to support at lvsquares.com. I'll list them off here real quick. 12-Ounce Sports, ViceGolfFanatics.com, the HEATR Bet Tracking app, InTheHoleGolf.com, and ProAm Customizations. Again, head over to lvsquares.com. Please also support the 12-Ounce Sports sponsors that you heard in the commercial. You can catch those, obviously, at 12-Ounce Sports bettingnetwork.com. For Token Tony, for Tony Johnson and John Parr, I am Aaron. We appreciate you guys listening. Good luck on your bets, and we will catch you next week for Masters 2021 in the flesh. Good night.